welcome to another episode of Community Connections airing on OROMIA11. I am your host, Anna Orr, and today we are talking about the Breast Believe campaign hosted by Larry Fitzgerald and the AABCA. This is going to be an important episode with Miss Riona Berry, providing very, very necessary information for Black and Brown communities. They're having a health fair at Sabathani Community Center, and this is going to be some essential information for you and your family. Stay tuned. This is going to be an episode you won't want to miss. Welcome to this episode of Community Connections, Ms. Berry. Can you introduce yourself to our viewers and talk to us about your role at the African American Breast Cancer Alliance?
Hi, Anna. I'm glad to be here. My name's Riona Berry, and I am the president, co-founder, CEO of the African American Breast Cancer Alliance. And we have been around for almost 33 years, and we provide education and support for Black Americans that have been diagnosed and affected by breast cancer.
And I know that this is now your second appearance on our show,
Yes.
so thank you for coming back to join us.
Mm-hmm.
Today we are talking about the Breast Believe initiative through the Larry Fitzgerald-Foundation. You all are hosting an upcoming event at Sabathani Community Center right here in the community, and it's going to be August 2nd.
Yes.
That is coming up very quickly.
Oh,
Can you talk to
gosh.
us about this initiative and the campaign?
Well, the Breast Believe campaign is part of the Larry Fitzgerald-Foundation, and we are a partner with that campaign. And we are really honored because Carol Fitzgerald, his mother, was a member of our organization. And when she died, Larry now is just totally dedicated to everything about breast cancer to help women get the mammograms and education and support that they need.
Can you talk to me about what it means for the Larry Fitzgerald Foundation and the AABCA to be partnering together to do this work?
It's great. They have expanded our reach, and the Larry Fitzgerald Foundation, because he's the son of Carol Fitzgerald. He's a well-known football player. He's a philanthropist. He's just dedicated to actually sharing the word about breast cancer and helping more women fight breast cancer and survive through it, because he knows that because of his mother, there are so many other women who don't have the support and information and education they need.
Can you talk to me about what's going to be taking place on August 2nd?
Well, there will be a lot of activity, and the main thing was to recruit women of the community in Minneapolis, St. Paul, wherever, to seek out a mammogram, where we're going to have a mammogram van provided by the Park Nicollet Mama a Go-Go.
Yes, yes.
And so they'll be parked in the parking lot, and women need to call the special number that they have to make a reservation for a mammogram that if they're 40 and over and they qualify, and usually that means that they have no insurance or low insurance that doesn't cover a mammogram. And besides that, we opened it up as a community health fair so that men could come. They also need to know they could get breast cancer, and that the community is welcoming them to learn about other health issues that they might be affected by. Because a lot of times people tend to think, oh, I don't have to worry about that, it's not in my family. Well, it doesn't have to be in your family, it's just a matter that it's a health issue to keep your body healthy.
It's true. Can you talk about what breast cancer, the effect breast cancer has had not only on you personally, but also on Black and Brown communities? Because I don't necessarily believe that we get the full scope of how pervasive breast cancer is amongst our communities.
Absolutely. Well, in 1990, I was first diagnosed with breast cancer, and I had a lumpectomy surgery. And the surgery, and because I was so young, I was 38, I had to have chemotherapy, radiation, and that lasted about 6 months. Well, here we are 2019, I was diagnosed again in the other breast. And then I had a total mastectomy. But luckily, I didn't have to have radiation or chemotherapy. So I'm on a hormone maintenance pill, probably for the rest of my life. And the one thing we all understand, those of us who have been diagnosed, that there are a lot of reasons women, especially black and brown women, tend to not follow up with that information because, one, they hear so many different myths about mammograms, first of all. Oh, it's going to hurt, so a little hurt is worth it to save your life. That's the message we try to promote. And the fact that they're fearful. We have heard women say, well, if you talk about it, you can get it. Or they have a family history and sometimes don't even know it. We have women that don't understand that even their fathers can carry the breast cancer gene. So breast cancer can be a genetic disease for a lot of women. And the fact that black and brown women tend to be diagnosed at earlier ages, before 45 in some cases.
Wow.
So that's the word we're trying to get out. It doesn't matter how old you are. It's just a matter of understanding that you are responsible for your breasts. They're yours, take care of them.
Now, you've talked a little bit about myths. So let's dispel a couple of them. One, you spoke about men believing that they cannot get breast cancer. They definitely can. The famous actor Richard Roundtree came forward years ago stating that he was dealing with breast cancer. And so I know that took the scales off a lot of people's eyes from the belief that this was just an illness that happened to women.
Correct, yeah. And the fact that Richard Roundtree is another generation, One of the most current people that we know of is Beyonce's father. He was diagnosed a couple years ago.
Wow.
And so it's something that a lot of people have a tendency to think, well, that's a woman's disease.
Yes.
But we share hormones. Prostate cancer, cervical cancer, all those hormonal types of cancers, breast cancer, they're connected in a lot of ways. And it's important that we find out if you find a lump, don't just think it's going to go away because that's what men think. They think, oh, I pulled a muscle, and they don't check any further. And women tend to do the same thing. I did. I found discoloration underneath my armpit by my breast, and I didn't know it was a symptom.
Yeah.
So learning what breast cancer can look and feel like is very important.
Now, on the day of this event, during the health fair, they are promising head-to-toe wellness for the entire family. So not just mom, but dad and the kids are able to receive a lot of different services as well as information that day. Can you talk just a little bit about some of those different things?
Well, they said they're going to have blood pressure screenings and diabetes screenings, glucose screenings. We're trying to also incorporate exercise into this health aspect. So one of our members, she's a hula hoop champ.
Oh, wow.
So she's going to show people how to do a hula hoop routine. We're going to try to get people to open up in the sense that they're willing to talk about health issues because it's important. We tend to shy away from things that seem like, oh, it's uncontrollable. We have no sense of life and death when you become diagnosed with any kind of disease right away. It's like, how long do I have to live? Well, it's like, how well do you want to live? And that's the part of wellness that we have to incorporate into our lives.
I think that's important, the reframing of what that looks like for you.
Yes.
Now, you all have a few community partners as you guys head into this event. The Breast Cancer Education Association, SAGE, and so many others are going to be there represented to not only teach and provide information. Can you talk about what that means to have the support of these other organizations? I know that the AABCA is hosting.
Yes. Well, it was wonderful when the Larry Fitzgerald-Foundation created the Breast Belief campaign, and one of the objects of the program is to incorporate community organizations to offer mammograms. Unfortunately, I mean, there's only so many mammogram vans to
Very
go around,
true.
and a lot of people like to stay in their own neighborhood, and so eventually, hopefully, the state of Minnesota will be able to increase their mammogram supply and be able to share mobile mammograms around the state. And with Larry's campaign, he's been able to increase this awareness from California to Philadelphia. So he's really building a countrywide campaign.
That's very necessary. When you talked about some of the other screenings that'll be provided, blood pressure, diabetes, glucose, these things affect Black and brown communities at such a drastic higher rate
Correct.
than any other demographic.
Correct.
So this is something that we not only need to get a handle on, but we also need to make a lifestyle choice
True.
to pay attention to.
Yeah. And unfortunately, they said the numbers for Black and brown women are going up. There's been a 41% increase in breast cancer diagnosis. And that's because more and more young women are being diagnosed in their 20s and 30s. So that's a demographic we really have to reach out to.
Definitely. And I know currently with the Breast Believe campaign and the event, I know that with the wellness fair taking place, that we are giving 3D mammograms to women that are 40 plus, women that may not have insurance, and women that may have breast implants are still able to receive the necessary imaging that they need all around the breast to ensure a good and accurate screening for them to make sure that they aren't dealing with any onset breast cancer symptoms.
Correct. Yeah. And it's interesting too that a lot of women tend to have symptoms that they didn't recognize, such, like I said, such as myself. But to have this really obvious change in the breast, things that aren't normal, to put it off, and like I said, I did that myself for 6 months before I went in. So I understand that women are afraid to find out. And that's another thing we hear, well, I really don't want to find out. But the fact of the matter is, you will find out one way or the other, you know. And we want women to be able to either save a breast or save a life, because it's important, you know. Women are the glue of the community in so many ways. So we just think, come on, ladies, take charge.
Absolutely. Now, I have a couple more questions for you. Is there a cost associated with this event or a registration associated with this event that we need to take care of before we join you all on it?
No, actually, it's open to the community at no cost. Even the vendors, there's no cost.
Okay.
You know, we just want them to be there, share their information. They might pick up a few new customers, and to know that this is a family-friendly event. And I think when people feel that they're comfortable in a place where they're accustomed to, like Sabathani Center, it's a community-wide Southside Pride type organization. So we were glad to be able to have it there simply because they have a parking lot for the mammogram van. So it was great.
And you can't miss that Mama Go-Go van.
No, you
it's
can't.
It's bright pink. It's a giant RV wrapped in neon pink. You cannot miss that beautiful van. The time frame for this event on the 2nd of August is from 10 to 5 p.m., 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Correct.
So at any point during that amazing length of time, you will be able to stop in and receive some of these good services, hear the speakers, receive some of these screenings, as well as solicit some of the vendors and pick up some necessary information.
Absolutely. And Larry Fitzgerald might pop in himself.
Now that
for a quick 5 minutes, maybe.
That might be worth coming out to. That might be worth coming out to. Now you said that nobody needs to register beforehand.
The ladies that want mammograms have to register. They have to call that special 1-888 number. That's part of the SAGE mammogram registration phone number. So that's the only way they can get a mammogram and make an appointment.
And we'll provide that number at the end of this segment so that people that want to register and watch the segment may be able to get a hold of that as soon as possible. Now, if we are not able to attend the event, what is the best way that we not only stand with the Larry Fitzgerald-Foundation, but also with you all at the AABCA?
Well, information will be provided for all the organizations there, and if someone has a particular need for information about breast cancer, they can call us, they can contact the Larry Fitzgerald-Foundation. His website and his link is on the documents. All the organizations will be there, will have their information available. And if a woman does present, after she's had a mammogram, the technicians and the nurse will actually do a referral for her.
Okay.
So whatever her healthcare provider is, they'll actually tell her to contact them to get more testing done.
Okay. I think that's very important because I'm sure getting that information initially can be very daunting.
Absolutely.
And sometimes when things are daunting, we become paralyzed and we don't keep moving forward towards what we need to do. So that referral is definitely a necessary next step.
Yes.
Can you provide us with any of the social media handles for the African American Breast Cancer Alliance? Are you all on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter?
We're on Facebook, Instagram. I don't know the handles.
Okay.
But I know it's like at AABCAINC.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
So most of them are like that. And we have a QR code, so we put that. We're going to put it on our website too, and all our materials.
And then my final question for you, can you please just look in that camera and encourage someone that is hesitant about not only getting a mammogram, but coming to this wonderful initiative at Sabathani Community Center about attending, but also taking care of their health?
Absolutely. Ladies, I implore you, please take care of your health. Starts with the head down to the toes, but your breasts are very important. You need them. And it's incumbent upon you to be able to talk about this disease. It's not something that is going to go away, but we're here to help you, and so are the other organizations. So please come, share your information, share your questions. We'll be there.
Always a pleasure to have you join me on any episode of Community Connections.
Thank you.
Recently, we just celebrated the 1 year of my mother being diagnosed, and she is currently still receiving chemo and treatment. And so it has been encouraging not only to have you as a resource and to be able to look at the AABCA website and find different ways of not only supporting her through this time, but also supporting our family. So your work is essential to our community, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for this episode of Community Connections. A very special thank you to Ms. Riona Berry and her team at the AABCA, which is the African American Breast Cancer Alliance, and a very special thank you to the Larry Fitzgerald-Foundation for hosting this amazing event. You guys are not going to want to miss this. Make sure that you check the links provided in this episode so that you can not only register for the event, but so you can stay abreast as to what is taking place in our community for the Breast Believe campaign. The phone number is as follows: 1-888-643-2584. And if you register for the 3D mammogram screening, you will use the code AABC1. And don't forget, this event is free and open to the public and is taking place from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Thank you.
Manguddummaan qormaata ta'uu danda'a. Waa'een manguddoomoo haadha keessanii isin yaaddessee beekaa? Waa'een abbaa, abbeeraa, eessuma, adaadaa, akkoo, akaakayyuu fi abaabayyuu keessanii hoo yaada isinitti ta'ee jira? dhimma manguddummaa fi manguddootaan wal qabatu irratti gaafii kamuu qabaannaan dhaabbanni Senior Linkage Line isin gargaaruudhaaf qophiidha. Dhaabbanni Senior Linkage Line dhaabbata State Minnesota guutuu keessatti dhimma manguddummaa irratti tajaajila kennu yoo ta'u, dhaabbilee tola ooltummaa kanneen akka tireelisii fi ejentiiwwan biroo wajjin ta'uudhaan manguddootaaf tajaajila garaagaraa kennuudhaan beekama. Dhaabbata keenya biratti manguddoonni kamuu tajaajila geejjibaa, tajaajila mana jireenyaa fi inshuraansii fayyaa argachuuf hin rakkatan. Gargaarsi dhaabbanni keenya manguddootaaf godhu kana qofaa miti. Nyaata manatti namaaf dhiyeeffamuu fi oolmaa manguddootaa ilaalchisee odeeffannoo barbaachisu manguddootaaf barbaaduun gargaara. Gargaarsi dhaabbanni keenya manguddootaaf taasisu manguddoota biras dabree maatii manguddootaatiif boqonnaa sammuu kenna. Odeeffannoo dabalataatiif 8-333-333 irratti bilbiluu hin dagatinaa.
Dhaabbata Senior Linkage anas na gargaaree jira isinis koottaa itti fayyadamaa.